I'm David Hicks. When you were Prime Minister, you left me in Guantanamo Bay for 5.5 years. During that time, I was detained without charge for a long time. I was denied a fair trial. I was tortured. Do you believe that I was treated humanely and that the military commission was a fair system? Thank you.
Well, I make a couple of... responses to David Hicks. The first is that isn't it a great country that allows this kind of exchange to occur? And this is not the sort of exchange that would occur in other countries and in dictatorships, and it ought to make all of us very... Whatever our views are about my government's policies concerning Mr Hicks, it ought to make all of us very proud that we live in a country that allows that sort of exchange. Now, having said that, can I simply say that I defend what my government did in relation to Iraq, in relation to the military commissions. We put a lot of pressure on the Americans to accelerate the charges being brought against David Hicks, and I remind the people watching this program that David Hicks did plead guilty to a series of offences, and they, of course, involved him in full knowledge of what had happened on the 11th of September, attempting to return to Afghanistan and rejoin the people with whom he had trained. So let's understand the reality of what David Hicks pleaded guilty to.
Mr Howard, on this question of him pleading guilty, Mr Hicks says in his own book that his military lawyer, David Morrie, was told by your staff that Hicks wouldn't be released from Guantanamo Bay unless he pleaded guilty. Was that...
Well, I'm not aware of any such exchange, but look, I mean, there's been a lot of criticism of that book by sources quite unrelated to me, and I've read some very, very severe criticisms of that book. And look, David Hicks trained with the Taliban. David Hicks was associated with groups that were behaving in a manner that was completely opposed to the interests of this country, and I think the idea that we should see him as a hero is very misplaced.
The question was about whether or not he was advised.
Well, look, I am.
Did you ever ask any of your staff?
I certainly didn't advise him. I didn't give any authority for that advice to be given.
Because we've been told by a very reliable source...
Oh, yeah, which one?
That I'm not going to name on this programme.
No, of course not, no.
That is the message the Hicks defence team was given consistently by your government.
Well, look, the message that my government was conveying, me to George Bush and to Richard Cheney, Alexander Downer to Condoleezza Rice, was that we wanted the trial of Hicks to be accelerated. We thought he'd been held in detention for too long without trial. I made that clear on numerous occasions, but that didn't in any way diminish my very strong view that we should not create a situation where he became a hero, because he was not a hero.